Right. Did you see video mobile home posted on
Facebook?
3 of them.
Oh, 3, I only saw 1. I mean, it was overkill as it is, but
Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight for our Village of Allsip Board meeting. Today is June 7th, 2021. We'll call this meeting order at 7:31 p.m. You call the roll, please?
Sure. Trustee Dalzell?
Here.
Trustee Juarez?
here.
Trustee McLaughlin?
Here.
Trustee Murphy?
Here.
Trustee Nava-Esparza?
Here.
Trustee Peretta?
Here.
Mayor Ryan?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're going to start with a bid opening for water main improvements for various locations. IEPA number Allison Larry 175714. We received this today, June 7th at 1:05 p.m. from H. Linden and Sons Sewer and Water, located at 722 East South Street, Unit D as in Dog, Plano, Illinois 60545. See if there's a bid bond. There is a bid bond included. And it looks like let me see if they've totaled it. The total proposed bid is $2,765,240. That's 2,765,240.00. And that is the only bid we have received. Do you need this?
No, it's fine. We'll ask our Water Commissioner, Dan Trivin. Danny, how many contractors picked up specs? 3. Okay, so only 1 submitted then, too. Okay. That's all we can do. I mean, obviously, were you familiar with all 3 companies then, too?
Yes, and it was longer. Instead of 10 days, it was 30 days, that the bid was out, so plenty of time.
Okay. All right, thanks, Dan. We'll start with the officers' report, starting with mine. Great crowd tonight. Thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight. Everybody's favorite subject, mail. I was actually on a Zoom call last Wednesday with Congressman Rush, the majority of the Chicago aldermen, and including the new mayor in Evergreen Park, Kelly Burke, and had a nice conversation. They actually had the director of the U.S. Postal Service out of New York, this Edwin Mercado, a very nice gentleman, and then the Chicago representative. And basically what we extracted from that conversation is that they ordered a facilities, I told them, obviously I expressed all the problems that we're having in our community, as well as all the Chicago is having problems of their own. It's always been my contention that for over 40 years here in our community, be it my predecessor, Mr. Kitchen, or Mr. Andrews before him, they all tried very hard to get us out of the Mount Greenwood Postal Service. Mount Greenwood was already a highly dense area. They probably got 20, 25 routes there already. We've got over 20 routes here in Alsip. And I said, don't give our residents or our industry any more reason to want to leave the state due to them not getting their mail and having holdups and invoices being paid and whatnot. I mean, it's important to everybody. So Mr. Mercado did order a facility, like a site survey, and what he's going to do, I asked him to either take us out of Mount Greenwood, put me with somebody else if they can facilitate. If nothing else, I said, wouldn't it be easier just to, all my neighbors, all the other suburbs around here all have their own post office. Can I please have my own post office? And I says, something smaller might be easier to manage. And he and the Chicago manager both agreed. So I'll keep everybody up to speed on it and so forth. This conversation just happened last week, but they are doing a site assessment right now to see if it's possible to take us out of the Mount Greenwood system and hopefully give us our own satellite office here, and maybe we resolve some of the problems here then too. It's a national problem, but again, we do what we can on our end to facilitate them too. So I apologize for everybody experiencing the troubles that you do. My assistant, Becky Smith, she's been wonderful at handling the phone calls. She gets yelled at from time to time, and I says, that's our job. We're in public service, but more importantly is we're trying to do what we can to, in the interest of everybody here, to get their mail in a timely fashion. I was actually out today. This is really goofy. I tell you, we're getting a stack of return mail here just for everybody reminding you to buy a vehicle sticker in town. We got a stack here. There must be, how about it, Becky, 60, 70, come back. Now, again, sometimes in apartment buildings, you might have, folks that might have moved to another location and whatnot, but I had them right in my neighborhood. There was actually one of our policemen that didn't get his. He lives right around the block from me. I went and hand-delivered some of these today and stuff then, too. That's ignorant. You shouldn't have to do that. And, again, we sent that through the system originally, so we are trying to do our best on our end to help everybody involved, so please be patient with that. First on your agendas this evening, we had the approval of an ordinance of the Village of Alsip approving a Class 7 assessment status for a real estate located at 4361 West 127th Street. This is part of PIN number 24-34-200-12 in the Village of Alsip. And again, just so everybody in the audience understands what that is, we have a new business being built at the corner of 127th and Costner, and this is to help them with taxes for just 5 years. It's a small program, but it's something we felt that may be necessary to attract this business to help them establish here in the Village of Allsip. It's tough in Cook County, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, when you're up against some of the Will County programs and their tax structures and whatnot, and again, we felt 5 years. I've made a presentation on this before. 5 years is the minimum, and that's what we're offering as the minimum help to that company. Next on the agenda, number 2, was the approval to amend the number of Class E liquor licenses from 4 to 5 and designate the license for the Curo Group, 1045. This to be utilized at the Food for Less at 12150 South Pulaski. Next, number 3, was the approval to amend the hourly pay for the Village Plan Commission Secretary from $12.50 per hour to $13 an hour to meet the same pay scale as all the seasonal personnel, as this position is what we consider as paid as needed when the Plan Commission requires service. This recommendation was made by the Plan Commission Chairman, Stan Graycheck. And last I had on here was, and again, we were subject to the Postal Service getting late to our office here too, but I felt I certainly want to recognize the ABATE program. That's a brotherhood aimed toward education. And what they did was they offered a proclamation regarding motorcycle safety and awareness. And just briefly, I'd like to say that for 34 years, the month of May, actually last month, was proclaimed Motorcycle Awareness Month in the state of Illinois. The ABATE of Illinois Incorporated, a brotherhood aimed toward education, is once again striving to provide safe, unrestricted motorcycling environment in the state of Illinois, community by community, to enhance and promote motorcycle safety, education, and awareness. Motorcycle Safety and Awareness Month proclamations are being presented to community leaders across the state. Therefore, ABATE of Illinois respectfully requests the execution of the enclosed proclamation with the presentation and execution of Motorcycle Safety and Awareness Proclamation. It's ABATE's genuine desire that many incidents can be prevented from occurring on Illinois roadways by creating awareness of sharing the roadways safely. Motorcycle Safety and Awareness Proclamations promote a positive attitude for all road users, regardless of the chosen mode of transportation. upon receipt of this letter, that they were asking me to contact them. So we did contact them, and unfortunately, although this was last month, we did want to just recognize, and we will post on our village website and Facebook, their proclamation to at least still acknowledge the fact that last month was Motorcycle Awareness Month then, too. So I appreciate them offering it to us to advertise here and help make the roads safer for motorcycles. At the same time, we have to apologize again for the post office delivering this thing like a month late. So, we do what we can. And that's all I have for my report this evening. Next, we have the clerk's report. Clerk Harding.
Thank you, Mayor. I have the approval of Committee of the Whole Finance meetings for the dates of April 12th, 2021, April 26th, 2021, and May 17th, 2021. I have approval of the committee meeting minutes for May 10th, 2021, and the approval of the board meeting minutes for May 17th, 2021. And finally, approval of the April 2021 IDA motor fuel tax allotment in the amount of $63,504.10. And that's all I have, Mayor.
All right, thank you. We have attorney's report. We have Joe Kenker with us.
I have nothing, Your Honor.
All right, Joe. Our engineer is excused this evening. I was told today by the one of the organizations that we belong to is the South Suburban Mayors and Managers Association. And trustees, as soon as I get the numbers, I'll share it with everybody. But we do have some capital. There's a capital grant funds that are being made available to the community, and they're putting those numbers out either today or tomorrow. So as soon as that's ready, I'll share that with the board then too. But I don't have that number yet. Mike, just looking for Mike Frater. He's not here tonight, is he? No. Okay. All right. We have the public forum portion of our meeting. Did anyone in the audience wish to address the board tonight? And folks, as a courtesy too to everybody else, because we don't ordinarily get a big crowd, if you would please just keep your comments down to about 3 minutes each. Go ahead, ma'am. You have to come up speaking to this mic up here then too. There's a cordless mic actually right here. If somebody, Roger, can you help her with that, please?
I have about 7 or 8 comments, and I certainly will keep them to a minimum. First of all, I'd like to say good evening to everyone, trustees, mayor. You're not going to like what I have to say, but I hope no one in this room has a mafia-level mentality. So I am able to have freedom of speech without being worried about retaliation. Because as I said, you're not going to like what I have to say. Mayor, I got your little magazine, trustees, and you hired 6 people. And I have a question. Were any of them United States military?
That would be up to HR. That's not necessarily shared with the board.
Just asking. By the way, should I salute any of you?
No.
No. Okay. Did you adjust the water penalty that I asked several times, came to a meeting, and I was told there might be a problem because of IT. I hope the village of Alsip has IT personnel that is able to reverse an overcharge, a penalty.
I know you spoke with the water commissioner. I wasn't privy to that conversation.
It wasn't done. Another question. Has anything been done for the village people during the pandemic to reduce their stress? Anything?
Let's put it this way, obviously we've made everything, we've been open, we haven't been closed to the public, we answer all the phone calls, we handle business as normal.
Above and beyond an emergency situation that whereby you actually, excuse me, no one has a bottle of water.
No, I'm sorry.
Actually did something positively that would impact the village people to make, thank you so much, to make the pandemic a little bit easier for them. My suggestion, of course, was reducing the penalty, reversing it, but no one seemed to think that was a good idea and that it was too difficult for IT to do that. So nobody did. Okay. Now, I don't have too many. We'll go pretty quick. Mayor, it's wonderful. You brought in all that business. Taco Bell, I love them. 3 for $10. They're delicious. I love them. However, Mayor Kitching wanted to bring in the Marriott Hotel, and I was saw the schematics. It was wonderful. Of the relationships that were built to provide, to have another upscale hotel, aside from the DoubleTree being the monopoly. I'd like to know why you dissed Board of Trustees, as well as yourself, dissed the Marriott and welcomed Taco Bell, a billiard, some other fast food franchises, which is great, which is good. As I said, I love their tacos.
Are you talking about a plan from back in, like, 2014?
Yes, before your first administration.
Okay, that was over 7 or 8 years ago, and part of the
Right.
reason that I was a trustee at the time, part of the reason the board didn't chase that idea is that they wanted you, the taxpayer, to take out a $10 million general obligation bond that we couldn't support without a solid project, because the developer at the time didn't even submit, nor would Mr. Kitching make him submit to a background check.
He was a mayor, Mayor Kitching. Mayor Kitching.
Okay, so when the board, if the board wasn't easy about granting, and many people were available for that conversation, I would never put the taxpayer at risk for something like that, and we didn't think it was a solid idea. So
we have Taco
you make
Bell
fiscal, difficult decisions once in a while,
Right.
and that's what happens.
So 10 or 6 franchises, fast food, no Marriott. Which I'm glad you're
So if you
concerned
would,
about.
just, as a courtesy, Ms. Romanowski, just one more question, please, okay? Thanks.
No, I have about 3, but we're moving along. You said.
No, I asked for 3 minutes, ma'am, that's all, just as a courtesy to everybody else.
For each.
No,
each
not
issue.
for, okay, please.
Wasting time.
All right.
You also want the clerk to have an auxiliary staff and assistant. Prior to this admin, the clerk had a full-time job, and now all of a sudden, the clerk needs a secretary or
Clerk's not getting a secretary.
well, extra help. I can
She's
do
not
it.
even getting
I'm
that.
highly credentialed. I will do it. I will do
Ms.
it for a
Romanowski,
good
you're
rate.
misinformed, and nobody okayed anything like that.
Okay, good. I hope it doesn't go through. If it does, let me know, because I want to.
We're staff very lean around here, believe me, I do all my own emails and everything else, yeah,
Good.
so.
Good. Now, on the police garage, great idea, but I hope there's not going to, that's for police, it's not for village admin.
No,
like
that's for the police department, we have to protect our assets.
Strictly police.
Right.
Not the trustees, not the
No,
mayor.
nobody.
Okay, great. I just wanted to know. And I'm moving along here. I will be done, and I told you I was
One more,
gonna-
please, Ms. Romanowski, I don't want to gavel you, please.
All right. One more. I got to take an important one. And all of them are so important. Anyways, if you do need help for that clerk, I'm highly credentialed.
We're taking applications right now, they're trying to hire somebody, okay?
I thought you weren't. I thought
I
that
don't-
was in
you
the
know,
making.
It's not for my assistant. One of the ladies, the deputy clerks that works in the office, she left, so there's a open position. Right now, there's 3 ladies, normally there's 4.
Oh, more police patrolling on the residential streets. My neighbor Linda Kichnowski told me car theft is up, and I don't always put my car in the garage. So if it is up, I'd like a little more patrolling, if that is true. Maybe it isn't, I don't know. But if it is, I would like more residential police patrolling. And since you cut me short, and I said that would be my last one, even though I have some other important ones.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I will let them go. So that's it.
Thank you, Donna. And certainly, you know, you're making your points that are valid, and we have a policeman in the room who heard your concerns, so we'll share that with the chief tomorrow then, too, okay?
As far as patrolling with the
Yeah,
high?
yeah.
I don't know. She told me it was up. It could be.
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, we have good police here and so forth.
I just brought that up because I thought if it is,
All right.
we need that.
All right.
So,
Well,
as I said, I do have more important ones, but
All right, give me a call. I'll take your call, sure.
you don't. You tell me your girls tell me you're on business calls, and you just walked out of the office.
Could be, like I said, we're staffed very lean around here then,
Yes,
too, but,
yes.
all right. Well,
Okay,
thank you.
with that, I thank you,
Sure.
trustees, I thank you, Mayor, for your time, and of course, for all
Thanks.
of you for listening.
All right, folks. Thank you very much, Donna. Donna, do me a favor, sign in until you spoke tonight on that sheet of paper right here, will you?
You can just
Anybody
leave it
else
on the
would
counter.
like to speak? Ma'am? Okay. If you would, just if you can just tell us your name, and just sign this ledger up here for the clerk, okay? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor.
Sure.
Ryan. My name is Carla Rodriguez. I've been a homeowner in Alsip for about 15 years now. I did want to say thank you so much for being here this evening and for having us all here as well, counselor and trustees. I just wanted to say thank you all for your service. I have had conversations with Becky regarding matters in my neighborhood on 128th Place and Engle Road, as well as Linda from the health department. And I've had conversations with the police and fire department just requesting matters to be addressed in the neighborhood, and also for direction if I have contacted the wrong office. One of the matters was the bridge on Cicero Avenue going over into Crestwood by the Chick-fil-A. I didn't know who owned it, I think it's the state of Illinois or Water Reclamation. I'm an avid cyclist, and the bushes were heavy, and they said, well, we don't know who's going to do it, but we'll take a look at it. It was done, whoever addressed the matter. There are other things, like on 128th Place, you can't tell that there's a division on east and westbound traffic on the west side of 128th Place. But I wanted to say thank you. That was addressed immediately. I've asked for light to be repaired, and street signs. I know that was at the state, but I could not have done it without the direction of Becky, as well as other offices that I've contacted. I know you guys probably hear a lot of gripes. I know I only have 3 minutes, but I just wanted to say thank you very much. It's noticeable in my neighborhood, and I'm constantly encouraging other condo unit owners to please reach out to the village, because they have been very open and receptive to making sure that our neighborhood is safe for all, because if you have a safe neighborhood, you have a happy neighborhood, and more people will join us. So thank you very much.
We appreciate your kind words, Ms. Rodriguez. Thank you. Oh, go ahead, ma'am. Did you want to say something? Thanks much, Ms. Rodriguez. Thank you.
Good evening. How's everyone? My name is Valerie Stroud. I was here a couple of months ago asking about, we're talking about the parking over in Deer Park 2 Condo Association. And I just wanted to make sure that we're not forgotten about, because I haven't heard anything from any representative to let me know what the alternatives might be, or if you all thought anything else about it. Like I said, I just don't want it to get caught and lost away, and then we have another winter and we're still having the same problems.
No, Valerie, we're talking right now about setting up, because we did look at this. I've talked to the police chief about it, and I've talked to the board about it as well too, and we are considering maybe even doing something along the lines of like they do in many communities with tight streets. It's obvious the way Deer Park was designed, parking's a premium like many areas and stuff then too. But maybe if we can do something where we can alternate one side of the street to the other, because they still have to be able to plow those streets in the winter and stuff then too. Odds and evens. I know there's not a lot of addresses on the east-west Deer Park side of the street. We'll figure some out with signage or something like that, but we're talking right now about alternating one side of the street or other, because I see too, and the board hasn't made a decision on that yet, but we are going to be presenting that sooner than later. We want to give that at least a 6-month window before the snow hits again then too. So we'll be talking about that soon. Do me a favor too, if you would, when you sign in, would you mind leaving me your number and I can check back with you on that then too? In case we need any input from the community like that, okay? Okay, thanks. Mr. Flores.
Mr. Mayor and trustees, good evening. I'm Frank Flores. I live at 120th in Lockwood. Some of you already saw me. I was here at the last board meeting. Happy birthday to your father.
Thanks.
The reason if I may.
Sure.
I wanted, and Mr. Smith, I don't know if you're in,
Sorry,
if you're in
I apologize. Real
Oklahoma.
quick, this is Andrew Smith, ladies and gentlemen. It's on a Zoom call.
From the last.
Andrew's the
meeting
representative from Quick Trip. Andrew's been here
Thank you very much. Good to see you again.
You too, Andrew. Andrew has been here 2 or 3 times. He's actually coming out of North Carolina, and I know it was a vote this evening, which is very important to his organization, but at the same time, I'm certainly conscious and want to respect your time flying back and forth from North Carolina. So thanks for being with us, Andrew.
And one of the things that I wanted to talk about tonight, Mayor, make my comments, and if I may, I'm going to go for the full 5.
Sure.
I'll try and keep it, specifically on business, the community, and balance, and the need for balance in our town. I know tonight, on this agenda alone, there are, not counting the issue of Quick Trip wanting to build at the old Condesa Del Mar location, we actually have 3 separate permits looking at truck storage, yards, and terminals. And I believe the Planning Commission also has another hearing coming up on June the 16th regarding more planned development for truck storage over on Platner. I believe the residents understand the importance of business and economics to the livelihood of our town. When I say balance, all right, I know that one of the things that you've talked about is bringing in a community planner. There's the key word, community, not a business development planner, a community development planner. All we hear, it's to me, and maybe there's a plan that I just haven't found on the website, I see a shotgun method of if there's an opening, we need to fill it. If there's an opening, we need to fill it. If there's an opening, we need to fill it. And it's constantly being filled with truck storage and transfer points. And I think what we're entitled to as residents is to have a balance in the community. And one of the things you've got tonight is looking for approval to overturn the Planning Commission's 7-0 vote denying the permit to Quick Trip to build their gas station behind a gas station across the street from a gas station. I don't know if I need to talk about traffic. I think everyone who lives in this town or travels through this town knows what the traffic looks like. I've been here 31 years. I've been told on Facebook that some people have been here since there were horses and buggies. I'm not that old. All right, but the idea is that all of you, our trustees, our mayor, Madam Clerk, you represent us. We understand and we hope that most of your decisions are based on our best interest. But when we see this type of imbalance, okay, we don't want the Planning Commission's decision to be overturned. See, the beauty of the Planning Commission, they're not elected. They don't have to be as involved in the politics that you and the rest of the trustees have to in order to be reelected. They get to sit there in a larger group and take a look at these things in depth. And I mentioned before, I think that Quick Trip, that Mr. Smith did an amazing job representing last time, is a very valuable company. Someone told me they're doing great in Stager. Good for Stager. What's good for Stager isn't necessarily good for Alsip. And it almost looks as though our village is being turned into a major truck transfer point. Midway's here and O'Hara's here and 294 is here. Yeah, maybe we don't want it to be a truck transfer point. That be the only type of business that we can bring into this town. We want balance. We want community. We have good schools. We have a great police department and fire department. the folks before me got up and talked about how responsive this village is, and I can attest to that fact, that you, as a mayor, respond to texts and voicemails. Trustees respond. Every one of them came up after I spoke last time to say hello to me because they hadn't seen me in a while, and if they hadn't, to meet me. That's responsiveness. That's not hiding. That's transparent. And what we're asking you to do, the trustees tonight, is not overturn the board's, the commission's denial of this permit. As much as I like Mr. Smith, and I think Quick Trip is a good company, it's not what we need right now. Right? Coca-Cola is already expanding. And I saw their southern parking lot. I'm guessing that's going to be more trucks. Because the facility may be robotic, but I know that iRobot is in the future, and the delivery is not going to be robotic. It's going to be more trucks. Am I right or wrong? You're going to have to.
No, actually, they just bought that, Frank, for the company that was in there. That they bought that because the company that was in there was struggling, and the property was for sale. They're just having for future expansion. They couldn't do this much build out and choke themselves out and not having room. There's no plans for that right now. Yeah.
But again, we don't want it overturned, right? I don't think that Quick Trip would be looking to make a $6 to $8 million investment. Am I correct on that amount of money somewhere in there?
That doesn't include the purchase price yet, too.
Yeah. If they did not see the profit in it, and yeah, that's business. I understand that. But their profit comes from selling gasoline, not sandwiches at their convenience store. So there's no way you can tell me that there's going to be zero impact from putting this large of a facility right smack in the middle of Cicero Avenue. And then here's the other thing. Nothing says it won't be changed later. We can get promises from a company. You can say as a mayor you'll do this. The trustees will do this. And in 3 years? In 5 years? In 10 years? Most of us really don't want to leave. We love this town. We've put up roots here. Our children were born and raised here. And we want, and I'll say it again, balance. We hear these things all the time. Oh, we're going to get this, we're going to get that, we're going to get this. You yourself just mentioned, that companies come here and they get tax help for 5 years. We don't get rebates. We don't get tax help. And yes, Alsip's taxes are low. My Alsip village taxes went up 3 times higher than the amounts on the school districts. And that's just me. I'm not an accountant, so please, before everybody starts, this guy doesn't know numbers. Someone else made a comment. Well, this is being put in a location where there's not enough residential to make it an issue. Well, how much residential does it have to be an issue? 5 houses? 10 houses? 20 houses? What exactly does it take for it to become an issue? When we're talking about pollution, whether it's light, traffic, noise, toxic fumes, they don't respect boundaries. We're going to put a truck storage facility over by the boat launch. That's a quarter of a mile as the crow flies from where I live. So whatever is coming out of all these trucks, all these locations spewed around the town, they're all surrounding people. And we're simply asking that it not be overturned. The Planning Commission sat down, researched this, looked at everything, were given a presentation by Mr. Smith, and they did not see it in the best interests of the residents of this village. And I said it at the last meeting, businesses don't vote, residents vote. Right? And we vote you guys in because we trust you to have our best interest and to listen to us when we want certain things done. We're not experts. Neither are you. Neither are you. You've just been doing what you do long enough. Yeah, I know. I'm trying to clock myself.
I'm just being courteous. I want to be courteous to everybody else.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
But, again, there's a lot of us here, and everybody's kind of quiet. Thank you for giving me the chance to spew. Who don't want it. We don't want it, John. Not now. I don't know what will come in the future. Someone mentioned an IKEA. I don't know. People go, hey, how about a Pete's Fresh Market? How about whatever? If what ifs and buts were candy and nuts, every day would be Christmas. It doesn't work that way. We just don't want more of that type of business. Somebody had put something about, between gaming, Mexican restaurants, and title loans or something. No, we need to be seen as a community of balance. There's nothing that says we can't come up with a community strategic plan that moves us into more green spaces, that where the town, I understand the town can't take on, millions and millions of dollars of bond issues to do certain things. But there's just got to be a better plan and alternative than simply, here's a vacant lot, let's let a trucking company in, or here's a vacant lot, and let's let somebody come in who's going to service vehicles. There's got to be a better way.
I appreciate that. I think most of the, and very quickly, just to rebut a couple of things that you brought up. A couple of things that you brought up about the 3 trucking things tonight. One that you're seeing on your agenda tonight is 11633 Mayfield.
I've seen that location out in the industrial area.
And what that is, that's kind of a cleanup. What happened was that was in transition. That was before any of us were, I wasn't seated as mayor yet. It was like a week or two before I was seated. The Plan Commission approved that 5-0 at the time. Now that same business wants to resell the business, and there's some code compliance issues and so forth. There's an attorney to speak to that tonight and so forth then too, if necessary. But we want to get that business up to speed because there was never an ordinance offered. That was during transition. I didn't have any hands in that. And unfortunately, the Plan Commission didn't invite our attorney at the time, so he didn't know to have an ordinance approved, and it got away from everybody. So it's kind of a cleanup. But again, there's a potential sale getting ready to take place, and that's already been approved unanimously back in the industrial park. The other one's 3600 127th Street. There's a piece of property that's been sitting dormant for decades.
That's the one between Kedzie and Pulaski.
Exactly.
Yeah, I saw that on the map.
In decades, that thing's been sitting there. And now we have an interest, Chris, thanks for being here tonight, that we have an interest from an organization that wants to develop that. Nobody's touched that thing. There's not even any water on their property. It's a major, it's like an $8 million undertaking over there then, too. They're going to build a 40,000 square foot logistics facility and so forth. Put that on the tax rolls. That thing's doing us no good the way it lays right now. And the other one was 124th and Kedvale. It's a very, very small thing, for maybe 8 to 10 trucks even sit there. They're already there, and, we made them aware, Roger, and they need a permit to even be there. That's what we're approving tonight. And so it's so peewee, you wouldn't even notice the thing and stuff then, too. But those are kind of just logistical things that we're cleaning up.
I understand cleanup, because I live next to Polmax.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that was vacant land, and it was going to be, vacant, and, we got to do this, and this is going to bring in, fuel revenue, $250,000 in fuel revenue, and it's going to fix all this, and all it's fixed, okay, is illnesses. We have a cluster on Lockwood, and I apologize, Andrew, and I told you before, your timing, Quick Trip's got a timing that is colliding with other issues here in town. You've got half a dozen people on my street alone with cancers, who did not move into this town with these things, who don't have family histories of these things, okay? And all of a sudden, we're all living next to this frickin' trucking company, who is not a good neighbor, who we were promised was going to be wonderful for Alsip. I don't see it. They were going to provide all these things. I don't see it. And when they sit there, and we sit in meetings, and we're told, haven't they gotten used to it yet? Haven't they gotten used to the noise? That's not policy making. That's not policy making, and I know
I never said that.
I know that. I know it's not you, but what I'm saying is, the day you're not here, if somebody else is mayor or somebody else is trustees, right? You may think one way. They're going to come in and do something completely different. And what we're asking is, no, we're not asking. We're putting our foot down, and we don't want it. We want to be more of this in this process of what's going on. We don't want this piecemeal thing. We want a strategic community developing plan, right? And like you said, yeah, we need to clean up. That's industrial, nothing we can do about it. But when you bring companies in that think they own the town and thumb their noses at the residents, that's not acceptable. That's not acceptable. And I wish the police chief were here, because what I want to see is these trucking companies that are in town thinking they can get away with not being cited by our local police. No, that don't fly, and that came from an incident once where I talked to a police officer, and she goes, oh, you see the company logo on that turtleneck? We can't mess with them. Mess with them? You're a police officer, what do you mean? And again, these are things I've seen in my time living in town that we hope don't go on anymore,
right?
Where enforcement, I brought up, how about some truck enforcement officers?
We've got two right now.
Yeah, some of these truckers are not good neighbors, they're not. They have nothing to do with our town. They stop here to go to the bathroom, fuel up, and they could give a damn about the residents. They care about zero about our children. Okay, they're not safe. Some of them. We've seen some of the stuff that they do. You know, and again, there's a lot of issues that I apologize for kind of shotgunning you on a lot of them, but Quick Trip is at the heart of it. Quick Trip brought this to bubble over, and we don't want that large of a facility pumping gas, taking care of more trucks. Okay? If you put the bait out, the fish will come.
I tell you, just to wrap up then too, what I'd like to say is, and Andrew's with us tonight too, he's made a lot of adjustments to the original plan. There is no truck parking there. There's no parking for any trucks there at all. And the other that they did too is they're purchasing almost 12 acres of property. 6 acres that is going to be green space alone. And they saw, obviously with having 900 locations, they obviously saw real value to bring in the business here. Let's not just as a village leader, but we have to allow a business to present themselves like this. It really wouldn't be fair to them for them to come in and say, hey, we've got too many JCPenney stores on this block, no more, that kind of thing. They're all supposed to be heard. And, you know, the Plan Commission heard them. I think the biggest thing, I was at the meeting, I think the biggest thing, and I share your concerns, I live right by Home Depot over there, so I see the same thing. Was always the traffic concerns. I agree. You know, unfortunately, it's like the old adage is, it's like the sins of your father. You know, decades ago, they allowed an industrial park to get built actually right behind your house over there and stuff, and there's no way they didn't design the street properly. They never facilitated that road to handle more traffic, period. There's nothing, I mean, we could sit here all night, folks, and say, listen, what's an ideal thing? If I brought in a Nordstrom's, if I brought in IKEA, if I brought in Top Golf or something like that, something really cool, something really premier, it would never fix the traffic problem. You know, it would never fix it. So
Probably would make it worse.
but Quick Trip's got over 900 locations, and they saw this, and they've got, I saw Texas alone, Andrew, you guys have 212 locations in Texas alone. And, you know, everybody, you know, thumbs up, all the locations, they're well-managed and so forth. Bottom line is, yeah, you know, when the Plan Commission, they are a recommending body, and that recommending body didn't agree, but we still have to finish out, you know, the mission of, do we agree with that Plan Commission or not, that kind of thing. And it takes 5 votes to overturn the Plan Commission. So that's our reason. And I had somebody else call me today, and they're like, why'd you phrase it that way on the agenda? I'm like, we could just say, approve, you know, the special use permit, but essentially we are overturning that use. I'm just being transparent. I'm not holding
That's
up
fine.
on everybody.
But
But your points are well taken,
you know,
yeah.
And again, we're the body that you represent.
Sure.
The people sitting in this room and all the ones at home, you know, that are going to watch this on YouTube and the ones that are on Facebook and everywhere else, right, put you in that seat. And we simply want to make sure that you understand where we're at.
Oh, sure.
Because, you know,
Always consider too,
you're an executive, but you're a politician too, John. It's what you
I
do.
hate
If
that
you
word.
weren't, you
I
could-
work for a living,
I
you
get
know?
it.
I mean-
I've worked in government for 34 years myself. I get it. It's become an obnoxious word, and, you know, elected official. Okay?
Yeah.
You know, but it's the idea that you can't get reelected without having to do certain things. We don't.
I get
We
it.
just live here. We pay our mortgages. We send our kids to school, you know, and we try to live a good life. That's it. And we're asking our elected officials to listen to what we're saying, you know. And the amazing part is the number of people I talked to that had no idea any of this was even going on. They didn't know. You know, there's so many weird rumors about things that are being built and whatnot.
Well, let's put it this way. That property has been sitting dormant. I mean, most of you folks probably know.
Well, yeah, he thought he was going to get a casino in Crestwood, and this guy was going to make a mint.
Well, no. What I'm saying is, it's been sitting dormant for a number of years, 8 years. It's one of the first good offers we've seen made on the property, and I'm not even privy to any of that kind of thing then, too. But again, the business is certainly worthy of being heard, you know, because they are a good, reputable business and
He
stuff
made a
then,
great
too. Yeah.
presentation. I don't
That's
think
all
any
this
of us
is.
denied him
Right.
that.
One thing
that
always be
last-
conscious of, though, too, is it's definitely an improvement from what you're looking at right now. I'm just saying, on the other side of the coin, it could be an improvement, because one thing we always want to be conscious of, too, is, you know, say, for instance, if the current owner, if he levels that building, then he goes for vacant property taxes and stuff like that then, too. There's a lot of residuals in between and stuff then, you know, but that's the wrath of the business itself, you know, where, you know, our expenses are still X. We're trying to maintain that and stuff then too, but it's again, it's a reputable business, and so.
No
I actually-
no one denies
and-
that.
and just
I think
so-
I called them the American dream the last time I spoke.
And just so everybody knows too, I actually did get a call last Thursday I think it was, of another business that was interested in something similar right off the expressway next to the Lighthouse Church. I'm like, listen, we're inundated. If you want to make a presentation, you're totally welcome to do so and so forth too. I can't stop that, and I don't certainly want to discriminate against a business that wants to come in. But I asked them to hold off, so.
Well, I've made my voice heard.
Yeah,
and
thank
I think a lot of people in the room and people watching agree.
Yeah.
I mean,
Thank you.
I'm glad I'm not the Audi dealer across from your Lexus, because I probably lose out. I probably couldn't sell the damn thing with you across the street. You're a likable guy, John. You're a great person. Everybody on this, all these trustees are. Every single person on there, you're all great people.
No, I get it. My wife hates it, that you got to look at the residual. Right. No, I get it. Go ahead, sir. Do you want to say something, sir? Okay, come on.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening, Mayor. So, my name is Reggie Van Treese. I'm actually right across the way from Condesa.
Okay.
I actually emailed Trustee Juarez. I gave her an email yesterday. Oh, you can't hear me? Can't anybody hear me? Okay, here we go. Okay, here we go. So, just real quick, obviously I've been in that residence for over 15 years now, and obviously I know that Quick Trip is obviously a reputable business, and I know it's going to actually generate money for this village, and that's something that I'm for. The one thing, there's actually a few things, but I'll just make them very quick. Obviously, 122nd, you guys know, everybody knows the traffic over there. It stinks at all times. People getting in and out of the driveways, sometimes it takes me about 5 minutes just to get in and out. And if we're already going to load up more gas stations and more trucks and stuff like that around there, I think that's going to present even more of a problem for that. And I also know there's expansion and stuff like that down the road. There's already a bunch of 24-hour businesses over there. There's already White Castle, you got Dunkin' Donuts, you got BP. Do we need another 24-hour business? I don't know, especially considering the fact that none of those folks in that area care. They could give two craps about any of us residents over there. So there's a lot of times, there's more commotion more than anything, a lot of light pollution and things like that, and also obviously with 122nd being a route to a lot of the industrial area, there's already a lot of truck pollution as well. Another thing, again, Condesa also has had a rat problem for a while now, and where are those rats going to go? They're going to go residential. So if that's the case, they're going to spread probably more towards 123rd, and then they're going to come more towards our condos and things of that nature. Again, I already talked about the pollution. I understand it's a business move, and there's potential to bring in a lot of revenue for this village, but also, could we maybe put it somewhere else? I don't know. I'm just, like I said, I wasn't here last week to hear. I didn't hear the presentation. I just got the notice in our condominium. But again, I just wanted to at least state that and at least give you just some of my thoughts really quick on that. And yeah, I appreciate everybody listening, and have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Sir, could you sign in, please?
Sir?
Excuse me, sir, just for the record, we always keep track who spoke with it. Can you just sign in, please, for me? Thank you much. Anybody else wish to say something? Go ahead, sir.
My name is Mel Gosmeyer. I've lived Laramie Square there for 28 years. Every time I leave my house to go anywhere, I've got to go down 122nd. Now, when I get on Laverne, get on 122nd, sometimes the traffic's all the way backed up. So I can't even get out. When I come home, Sister Avenue, from northbound, I can't even get through the 123rd Street light. Traffic's all the way backed up with trucks. We don't need any more on 122nd. I don't know if any of this is going to put some of the traffic on 123rd, but we don't need any more on 122nd.
Yeah, 123rd really wasn't designed properly. Let me
But
turn it
it's the
back
main
down.
street for here, a lot of trucks
Yeah.
go down this street.
Oh, yeah, but not on that side of the street. There's no curbs. It's not even wide enough for all that, you know, so,
Traffic is terrible.
yeah.
I mean, we can't leave our houses, get on Cicero, or come home at night without waiting 10 minutes on Cicero Avenue.
You know, you make a great point, and we all agree with you, too. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I don't know that we can ever correct that without widening that street, because what are you going to do with that industrial park back there? That's,
Well, Quick Trip's got to exit into 123rd, it'd be better to put him back on 122nd.
right.
That's all I got to say.
No problem. Thanks, sir.
I just wanted, my name is Lynn Dwyer, and I'm a resident for about 30 years. And I just wanted to thank Frank and everybody else that got up to stand up for what the residents want and need. We do not want any more trucks or gas stations. Might be a good company.
I can't
but
hear
not
you.
for Alsip. That is not a good company for Alsip. Someplace else. We do not need any more trucks or gas stations. And when I was the trustee here, I fought for the cash for goals not to come in. They went into the industrial area. We have a good industrial park. We do not need a company like that on 122nd and Cicero. I would hope you'd have a bigger vision for our town. You could do both. You could have a good industrial park and good businesses. Who's looking for businesses here? Are you?
We've been doing pretty well, yeah.
Who's out looking for business for our
I
community?
I meet with a lot of recruiters, and actually tonight, you know, we'll save it for our communications, but yeah, okay,
Okay.
all right,
But
thank
somebody
you.
should be looking for better business in our town, because I know we can get it.
Donna, did you have a question?
No, I wanted to make a comment. My name is Donna Romanowski. I've been living in Allsip about 40 years, and I always kind of thought it was like a little Mayberry, but it's not anymore. And I'd like to see it go back to Mayberry. But that was just a personal little comment, a little feeling that I have for the village. In view and piggybacking on every one of the individuals that spoke after me, perhaps we could call the Army Corps of Engineers and see exactly what kind of impact environmentally all this trucking is doing. And they are the Army Corps of Engineers, Army, and they would come in and do an evaluation of the impact of all this trucking. So thereby we have some professionals that can say, well, look, you know, this is residential, children, families, and this is how this trucking is going to impact. Just a suggestion.
I think it goes back full circle, Donna, when they planned that industrial park back there. I mean, it's kind of hard to say after it's built that we're going to not let you drive down that street anymore now. Well, sure.
I think that would be a great idea as far as any future kind of zoning for that, and businesses, perhaps the Army Corps of Engineers could give a really, really good report on how this is going to impact our village.
All right, thank you very much.
As still amazing.
Thanks. Anybody else? Andrew, did you want to say something on behalf at this time? Anything?
Yeah, if you'll let me speak now, that's great, or I can wait till we're actually on the agenda item. Either way is fine with me.
Well, it's the topic, so you might as well. It's public forum. You're welcome to speak. Sure.
Absolutely. Can you hear me okay?
Absolutely. Yes.
All right. Well, first, thank you again for having me. Appreciate you guys, accommodating me, coming in via Zoom and everything. Very much appreciated on this end. I can tell you for a fact my wife and my 2-year-old appreciate it as well. So, again, thank you very much. I did want to hit on some of the points that were brought up, both tonight so far and at the previous hearing. There's been a number of key points brought up by the residents in the area and the trustees. And I just want to show you guys that, we have taken these into consideration. We have provided accommodations to make sure that we're taking every bit of feedback seriously, and we really want to have a collaborative approach to this project. So first is really based on our use. Over the last 20 years, we've really heavily invested in our food offer. We are truly more than a gas station. In fact, 7 out of 10 customers don't even get gas at our stores. We really operate as almost more of a miniature market. Additionally, we do provide a catalyst for positive redevelopment throughout the corridor. So it doesn't just start and end with this project. We have seen multiple examples throughout our history where we've developed a corner that nobody else could, and we became the true anchor tenant just to see positive development come around us. And without the first user coming in to provide a use such as ours and provide the quality that we provide, you won't see that future positive redevelopment throughout the corridor. I believe it was Trustee Murphy, and I'm sorry if I get this wrong, but I believe he had brought up a point in the previous meeting about, well, what else is going here, what else is to be considered. It's been sitting vacant for quite some time, and that's something to really keep in mind. This property isn't hidden. It's on Cicero in the Chicago Metro. Every developer knows about it, but for some reason it hasn't been redeveloped to this point. I've spoken with a number of developers in the area, and most of them have told me they see it purely as an industrial site. They don't see it for retail. They don't see it for restaurants or anything like that. Just due to the fact that on 122nd you have so much industrial currently, and that's what they see being the future use of the property. And given the feedback from the residents, it doesn't sound like they want to see more trucks on 122nd. Also, big boxes have passed on the site, and why is that? Well, there's a number of barriers to redevelopment, and when a developer takes the property, they have to maximize their return and cram in as much as possible, versus when an end user takes this on, we're able to listen to the feedback from the community, and we're able to provide accommodations, we're able to make changes. It's not just about the bottom line, because we're cutting out that extra step in the process of somebody else who's getting paid along the way, and that would be the developer who has to get every bit of value they can out of the property, and they're not going to provide the improvements that we will. So another point that was brought up was noise. I would like to point out that, at our fuel islands, we don't have music playing. We don't have the television screens that have advertisements running on them. I know that there's a lot of gas stations that do have those, and they absolutely are annoying. You can hear them from several blocks away. We don't have that at our offer. Additionally, we actually are pushing our activity further from residential than the existing conditions of the site. So if it were to be redeveloped into, let's say, a bar or restaurant, you have a parking lot that's pretty much sitting on 122nd. So all of that vehicular activity and people go into their cars, you would hear that at all hours of the night. But our closest pump is actually 230 feet further from 122nd than the current edge of pavement, which is all parking. I think that's very important to keep in mind. Also, our building is 345 feet further from 122nd and 120 feet further than from 123rd. Additionally, litter was one that was brought up. And I understand most people in the Chicago Metro are not familiar with Quick Trip. It is Quick Trip with a K, or with a Q, not Quick Trip with a K. There are two companies with the same name. We don't operate in the same states though with those names. But we do have a number of operational standards. In 60 years, we have become truly an industry leader. We are looked up to by many other businesses, even outside of our industry. I mean, I've worked with banks who have told us that they admire the way we maintain our facilities, because the banks typically look great from the outside. They typically have great landscaping and everything. I actually worked in the stores myself, so I am somewhat of an expert in this department, speaking to our store operational standards. None of our stores are franchises. They're all owned by the company, so you won't see a difference from store to store. We operate all of them the exact same way. I train store employees for a number of years as well, so I can speak to how well we train our employees and motivate them to succeed. We have what's called a Csa program, which is customer service appraisal. Each store has a mystery shopper come in every single week, and that mystery shopper evaluates the store and gives it a score, interior and exterior, so for litter, bathrooms, parking lot appearance, everything. And those scores are averaged out over the month, and the store employees' compensation is actually partially dependent upon that, and they can get bonuses for really high scores. If you get 100%, you can get entered into a drawing to win a trip to Hawaii, all expenses paid for you and a guest. And it's several hundred employees that get to go on this every year. It's not just one or two, so the incentive is absolutely there for our employees to do a great job. As I mentioned at the previous hearing, we have an employee stock ownership program. So all of our employees own the company. So it goes beyond just, being, an employee who looks at the store as being, okay, I'm here from 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. No, you look at it as this is my business. I own this store. And our employees have a great sense of ownership of our stores. Additionally, the site has been designed in such a way to make sure that we're minimizing any litter issues or any trash issues. We have hedgerows on 122nd, 123rd, and Cicero, double row shrubs, continuous, that will block trash if it starts to blow off a lot. At a minimum, we sweep our lots and empty our trash containers 5 times per day, and as needed beyond that, so our stores stay in great shape at all times. We even have a fence that we're proposing along our western side of our lot to make sure that nothing blows off in that direction as well. We have trash containers that are located conveniently throughout our site for customer use. We all know that if it's too far away from a customer, they probably won't use it, but we located them so it's right on their path of travel into the store or at the gas pumps. We encourage customer feedback. We have feedback forms to locate throughout our stores and on our website, so if there ever is an issue in those rare occasions, customers have their voices heard, and we take those extremely seriously. And we even power wash our sites multiple times per week on the daytime shifts to make sure that even our concrete or our asphalt is in great shape at all. Regarding lighting, we have already submitted a photometric plan to the village. This shows that there's very little light spillover off of our lot. When it gets to the streets, it's a fraction of a foot candle, which is pretty low. 1 foot candle is approximately twilight, so it's less light than that. We've used all LED lights, so there's none of that weird glow that you see with the older style lights. They're all pointed inwards toward their lot.
Excuse me.
On 122nd and 123rd, there are already street lights there that are much closer to those properties than anything we're proposing. In fact, our closest light pole to any residentially zoned property on 123rd is 75 feet away, and on 122nd is 100 feet away.
Andrew,
and those are not even pointing towards those properties. That's just measured to the property line. The buildings are actually set back even further than that.
Andrew, I'm sorry.
So that should only be good news to hear that there won't be obnoxious lighting spilling over to adjoining property.
Andrew, I'm sorry. I was trying to grab you. If you can just kind of wrap up, please, with your statement. I was just looking for you to wrap up, please. If you can wrap up what you're saying, please, because I've got to move on with the meeting then too, Andrew. Thanks.
Okay. Do you want to just come back to me when we come to our item on the agenda?
I could, sure. Thanks.
Okay.
All right.
We'll do that then.
All right.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Donna. I got to move on with my meeting. I'm sorry, ma'am. I gave you the floor twice, okay? I mean, Donna, please. I don't want to be like that, okay? Thank you. Then I got to move on to standing committee reports. Finance Committee and IT. Trustee McGlohorn.
First, I have a request for approval of a list of payroll dated May 21st, 2021, totaling $387,251.88. Next, I have a request for approval of a list of payroll dated June 4th, 2021, totaling $427,696.87. Next, I have a request for approval of accounts payable dated June 7th, 2021. From the recap, General Fund, $187,305.09. Road and Bridge, $6,356.16. MFT, $6,670.64. Pulaski Road Corridor TIF, $5,175. Liability and Workers' Comp Insurance, $37,779. Health Insurance, $43,690.44. Water and Sewer, $12,846.51. Heritage, $65,705.84, for a grand total all funds of $365,528.68. Next, I have a discussion of Canadian National and Kansas City Southern Railway merger. Joyce, did you have anything on that?
Thank you very much. I put some additional detail into the packet concerning the crossings, maps, and so forth. Kim Lovely did all that work, and I think she did a great job. But it shows that there are 4 major crossings in Alsip. 2 of them are covered by overpasses. The other 2, the busiest being 123rd Street. The impact from this merger, the main line for Canadian National would be coming down to the east of Allsip. The line that goes through Allsip would be feeding into that, which of course all ends up in Blue Island. This would be a 25% increase in traffic on, potential 25% increase of traffic on the rail lines. And so it does have a potential to impact Allsip. We have an opportunity to write a letter to the NTSB indicating whether we want this to happen. I've also found out through other sources that in this letter we can also request that an overpass be put on 123rd, that they would consider that. So I wanted to put this before the board to see if you wanted to continue. I can, if you want to pursue the letter or a resolution or anything along those lines concerning this merger.
Joyce, I was of the impression this was already a done deal a week ago. It's not.
It's not a done deal.
All right. That's why I looked into this. That's what I was told by an attorney.
Yeah.
Okay.
It has to go to the... It still has to be voted on, I guess, or by, was it NTSB or something?
Surface Transportation Board.
Surface Transportation, and that actually could take a couple years.
All right.
So entirely up to the board. You can look through that data showing how the lines come together.
So do you need anything from us tonight on that, Joyce? I mean, because
If
there's
you
nothing on the consent agenda related to it, so.
Right. I mean, I just would like to know if you want to move forward with anything.
Why don't we draft something we'll present at the committee meeting next week, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Trustee McLaurin?
Okay, next on the agenda, I have a formalization of the requirement that new positions be approved by the Board of Trustees prior to the incorporation in the annual budget. Any positions approved after May 1 of each fiscal year will be handled as a budget amendment for that year. And then finally, I have a request for approval of a resolution of the Village of Alsip approving and adopting a capital asset policy and procedures. And that's all I have under finance.
All right, thank you. We'll go to the Fire Committee report. Trustee Murphy?
I have a request for approval to hire 1 firefighter paramedic for future replacement of a firefighter on medical. This was discussed at the June 1st Fire Committee meeting. That's all I have, sir.
All right, thank you. Police and Traffic Safety, Trustee Dalzell?
I have nothing for this meeting, Mayor.
All right. Thank you. Public Work and Boat Launch, Trustee Juarez?
No report, Mayor.
All right. Sewer and Water, Trustee Nava-Esparza?
Thank you. I have the approval of the Sewer and Water Department May 2021 monthly activity report. And that's all I have, Mayor. No.
All right, thank you. Building and Health, Trustee Peretta?
Yes,
sorry.
thank you.
Somebody call me?
I have a request for approval of Health Department May 2021 monthly activity report. 2, I have a request for approval of Building Department May 2021 monthly activity report. And if I may, I'll just go through these reports really quickly. Health Department report, we had 63 complaints, 4 inspections, and 69 citations. Most of the complaints were overgrown grass. So it is the warmer weather, grass is growing. I just think, I want everybody to think about tall grass attracts snakes, rodents, so, and not only that, it just makes your property look bad. So let's try to keep up with our grass. As far as building, there were 158 permits issued, and amount collected was $26,951. The valuation of these permits are estimated. The cost of construction is over $3.3 million, so that's good to see. And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, trustee. Human Resource and Insurance, trustee Murphy.
No report tonight, Mayor.
All right. Special Committee Reports, Economic Development, trustee Nava Esparza.
Thank you. I have a request for the approval of a new job creation of a full-time exempt position, the Village of Alsip Community Development Director position, with a starting salary of $85,000, including benefits, family health insurance, IMRF pension, access to village-owned vehicles. This position will be supervised by the Office of the Village President. And I just wanted to expand a little bit more as to why I'm requesting this position to be created. I've brought up this topic for discussion over the course of several board meetings. I've shared job descriptions from other municipalities for the same position, and I've tried to explain why I strongly believe the Village of Alsip needs this role. A community development professional would be able to consider and oversee some of the following items: short-term and long-term community planning, participatory planning, which includes community input, economic development, beautification, and urban design. Just to expand on some of the points I mentioned, for example, economic development. Economic development should not just be about business recruitment, but it also should include business retention, marketing, placemaking, land use planning, and should consider quality of life factors that impact community residents. As for short-term and long-term community planning, we currently have a comprehensive plan to help guide the vision of our community. What are the strategic priorities for our community? How are we capturing the community's input in the decisions that the board makes? The community development staff person would ideally serve as a community liaison with stakeholders, work with other taxing bodies to identify potential partnerships for development. And when I say development, it doesn't always have to be a business. It could be a public good. As for consultants, consultants are great for project-based work. An economic development consultant was hired in the past, but to my knowledge was focused mainly on the Pulaski corridor and not on other areas of the village. The community development staff person would focus on opportunities, projects, and issues that are village-wide, while also working with other department heads. Furthermore, the community development director would ideally have a master's degree or a bachelor's in planning, or a master's degree in planning or public administration, and most senior level planning professionals have additional certificates as well. So today on the agenda, I'm asking for approval of the creation of the Community Development Director position. If this is a yes, the next step would be for the HR manager to draft the job description and along with the attorney review, which would be presented for approval at committee and then voted on at a board meeting, and then we would request to advertise the position, which would then be also made at a board meeting as well. And just a little bit about myself and why I'm asking for this position is I do have a master's in urban planning and policy with the focus in economic development from UIC. And I see the value, and I see other municipalities have also created some of these positions in their towns, and they're able to plan and attract businesses and make their community a destination. So I think it is possible, and I think there is the potential here for Alsip to also fix maybe some errors, but also build on some of the successes that the community has in the past. And that's all I have.
All right, thank you. Next, we have the Village Property Report, trustee McGlohorn.
I have a request for approval to draft RFPs for, first, the replacement of the roof over the clubhouse at Heritage 1, and next, replacement of the wrought iron fencing at selected areas within Heritage 1. And that's all I have.
Roger, how are we doing with the carpet replacement over there?
There's 5 buildings left in Heritage 2, and they're finishing up at Heritage 1 probably by Wednesday.
I went over there, I think last Wednesday, I did a quick inspection. It looks great. They're doing a nice job.
It turned out really nice.
Yeah. All right, thank you. Next, we had ordinance and legislation. Trustee Parada.
Thank you. I have a request for approval of an ordinance of the Village of Alsip amending ordinance number 2021-05-5, authorizing a special use permit, authorizing a truck storage yard and terminal for the property located at 3600 West 127th Street in Alsip, Illinois. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Mayor, can I talk on this real quick?
Sure,
I did get a email from the attorney for this property, and they did ask
F, in section 2F, they asked that to read from any residential property line, meaning prohibition of the storage of refrigeration units within 200 feet of a residential property line, so that they, so you can amend that on the face if you want to, or you can leave it as is. I told them that I would present it to you, though, the request.
That was a recommendation that I had with the, we didn't have that in the original ordinance. That's part of what we're talking about here is should, his original intent that he mentioned at a board meeting here, Chris is here from the Realtor. Chris, originally he said he wasn't going to have any refrigeration units being there, but should a future user go to have something like this, he's got to be at least 200 feet from that back fence and stuff then too, right?
So the back fence would have taken away the whole lot, so that's why they asked for 200 feet from a residential property line. So basically over the tracks.
Right.
Is where you'd be measuring it from.
Sorry, that's what I'm trying to say. Right, is that because the tracks are easily, they're probably 25 feet, let's say, to the north, just to start with and so forth, because you got 25, so there's 50 feet, maybe more or less, till it even gets to your fence line. What we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen, is the 8 acres of property that they're going to develop at 3600 127th Street has got townhomes on the other side of the railroad tracks and stuff that's over there. They used to be a steel factory back in the day, so they're going to develop their property. So we're asking 200 feet from the homes is what we're looking at then too, okay? Thank you. Anything else, Trustee Parada?
No, that's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Planning and zoning and license, Trustee Juarez.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a request for an approval of an ordinance of the Village of Alsip granting a special use permit authorizing the storage of trucks and trailers on the property located at 12427 South Kedville Avenue, Alsip, Illinois. I also have a request for approval to overturn the Plan Commission's recommendation to deny a special use permit by a 7-0 vote regarding case number 2021-05-S-500 on 5/5/2021 from a B1 business to a B1 business special use for a gas station and convenience store for the property located at 12220 South Cicero Avenue and 12250 South Cicero Avenue, Alsip, Illinois. And I also have an ordinance of the Village of Alsip granting a special use permit authorizing a truck storage yard and terminal for the property located at 11633 South Mayfield Street, Alsip, Illinois. And I also have a request for approval of a list of licenses dated May 10th, 2021 through May 24th, 2021. And I also have a notice of public hearing. Notice is hereby given. The Planning Commission will hold a public hearing for case number 2021-06-S-700 on Wednesday, June 16th, 2021 at 7:30 p.m. at the Village of Alsip here, 4500 West 123rd Street, Alsip, Illinois. The Village of Alsip Plan Commission will be hearing an application, case number 2021-06-S-700 for special use I-1 to I-2 industrial special use for truck and storage repair for the property located at 12400 South Cicero Avenue, Alsip, Illinois 60803. Parties wishing to be heard will be given the opportunity to do so at that time. That's all, Mayor. Thank you.
And I'd say real quick, just certainly when you got this much audience here, I just want to understand what the trustee just read was that particular parcel we've talked about here in the boardroom. We had some people in here. And again, that business has the right to be heard, but what they're trying to do is they want to develop, they actually want to level 20 acres of forested land on the Csa River to facilitate the business that they're speaking of. And we've already told them that we don't want them to use the streets to get there. In other words, everything back by the boat launch, everything going past those past M&K truck sales, all that, we're not endorsing that. They're speaking with MWRD and IDOT to actually access this property from the other side of the river, like down to Ridgeland Avenue. So it's all that industrial. A lot of you aren't familiar with that, but if anybody knows where the IDOT yard is at in Alsip, that's where this is going to. This is coming around like 116th, call it 120th and Ridgeland over that way, and it comes in the back way, and that road snakes along the Csa River. So it's nothing coming from the Cicero Avenue side of life. It's coming from the back side. And again, they have the right to be heard, and that's all. They're going in front of the Plan Commission for that. Very quickly, going back to the two items that were on this agenda, though, too, Trustee. First, Andrew, just to surmise your previous conversation, anything else that you wanted to add?
Sorry, I couldn't quite hear that.
I just wanted to ask, is there anything else you wanted to add to what you mentioned before? Anything else that we should be made aware of?
A few more points that I did want to address.
Go ahead.
So I hit on before the use, noise, litter, light. Another item that came up recently, it was one of the items that was brought in, I think, from a few emails, and I'm sorry for the adult theme here, but it was basically on the prostitution issue in the area, something to that effect. I'm not really sure where our use comes in with this point, but I do think that it was from the intention of believing that we had overnight truck facilities, and I think that's where that concern was coming from. So I do just want to clarify that point, that we've eliminated the truck parking entirely, so there's no possibility of trucks staying overnight. We also don't offer any of the overnight facilities for trucks. We don't offer showers or anything like that. And our side trucks will fuel, they'll pull forward, maybe grab something to eat or drink, use the restroom, and then they will be on their way. That's the entire nature of our business. Like I mentioned before, we do have a state-of-the-art security system. We invest heavily in that area. We partner closely with law enforcement, and we don't see increases in crimes at our facility. In fact, I actually found an article from the Department of Housing and Urban Development that actually stated that vacant and abandoned properties are linked to increased rates of crime and declining property values. So having somebody here who's open and operating and monitoring the situation could actually be a benefit to any crime issues in the area. We've completed a full crime analysis. We've developed, and this is right in line with where we typically develop. We don't see any issues, but we already have plenty of safeguards in place and plenty of deterrence to any type of negative behaviors on our lots. There were some concerns that came up about environmental. But like I said before at the previous hearing, we almost exclusively capture existing traffic on the roadway. There's 20,000 trucks per day on Cicero. We aren't the reason that the trucks are there. We're purely offering an amenity to those trucks. And if we even capture a very small percentage of those, we'll have a very successful store. But to go above and beyond in the environmental department, I did submit an environmental brochure to the village showing all of our company initiatives. For instance, we have smart water controllers, which company-wide save 100 million watering gallons annually. When we redevelop, we'll also be required to meet all of the new MWRD standards for stormwater detention, which will be much better for the environment, because we'll have new oil water separators and things like that that will help facilitate the safe flow of stormwater into the public system. We also have a strategic energy plan.
With all due respect, Mayor, I think he's been way over 5 minutes that everybody else got.
Carbon dioxide in the equivalent of 6,000 passenger vehicles or 36 homes company-wide. And then on this property in particular, we are significantly increasing green space and plant life on site. There's 10 or 15 trees on site currently. We're proposing 55. We're proposing almost 900 shrubs when there's probably 30 or 40 there total today. That will be a significant improvement to the environment. Traffic is the last point that I have to talk about. I know this has been probably the premier concern from the residents, and I completely understand. The concern. You know, you live in the area. This is probably the area that you feel the most from development. We did provide a preliminary traffic analysis and some of those points at the previous hearing. Our traffic engineer stated that we're not a significant generator of traffic. He estimated that it would be about approximately a 2% increase in traffic per day, but that's lost within the natural fluctuation of traffic, as traffic fluctuates on average by about 10% per day. So that's not just opinions here. QuikTrip's been in this business for 60 years. We know where we can be successful and where we can't. We can't draw traffic to us. We can't build in the middle of nowhere inexpensively, and the traffic will come to us. That's just not the way that our business works. We're located along the most convenient path of travel for the public, and that's where we can be successful. But again, it's not just QuikTrip's opinion. It's also our traffic engineer, who's been with this firm since 1994. He is certified nationally as a professional traffic operations engineer and in the He also has stated clearly that we don't generate significant traffic. It's also the opinion of the Institute of Transportation Engineers. They determine that the nationally accepted standards for traffic generation. And then myself, I've worked in 8 different states: in North Carolina, South Carolina, Kansas, Missouri, Nebraska, Iowa, Arizona, and Illinois. We've submitted traffic studies to each of the DOTs in these states, and we've had traffic studies approved stating that we're not a significant generator of traffic.
Andrew,
That almost 90% of our trips are existing trips on the roadway, and a very small percentage is new traffic to the area. And all of these DOTs have agreed with that point.
All right.
It's not just, my opinion by any stretch.
Andrew.
It's the opinion of several industry experts.
Andrew, I'm sorry, I gotta move on to the next. I got another attorney sitting there too that wants to address one, but thank you for the explanation. Thank you for the explanation.
Thank you.
Okay. And the last item, Board, is item number 3. If anyone has any questions, Attorney Tony Parek is here with regard to the 11633 Mayfield property then too. Tony, did you have a...
Signed in already.
Good.
Mayor Ryan, honorable trustees, once again, Tony Parek on behalf of the current owner and occupant, Bella Bell. This is a logistic company that's been in the town for about 5 years already, and it's being proposed to be acquired by another Alsip company, LTS LLC, which is right down the street from 11633 South Mayfield, namely at 11659-11701 South Mayfield. The proposed purchaser is a trailer repair facility, so it's not a trucking company. The site that they're planning to acquire at 11633 South Mayfield is an existing business that has approximately a dozen employees on site and about 40 trucks that come in the morning about 6 o'clock without trailers. They go and pick up trailers from different yards, deliver them where they have to bring them, and then return. This matter, as you said, Mayor Ryan, was on the agenda of the village board on June 26, 2017. And for one reason or another, it wasn't approved or voted on. When I was here, also, I distributed a packet to all of the trustees in your absence, and again, happy birthday to your father. It was announced. On June 14th, 2017, the hearing took place before Planning and Zoning Commission, Village of Alsip, and it was voted 5-0 to approve the special use. The site itself, and I provided a copy of the survey to everybody last time, has 3 catch basins right in front. At the southwest corner of the property, there is a fire hydrant already. Along the south border of the property, the whole site is 2.5 acres. There are 2 catch basins on site. The owner has re-gravelled the property each and every year, and it's graded so that it carries water to the catch basins. In the back of the, I should say to the east of the property, there's an empty 4-acre lot, which is essentially a green field, and that acquires a lot of runoff from the surrounding area. What we would be asking the board to consider, because the original ordinance that provided for special use did not provide any contingencies with respect to the MWRD or with respect to the fire requirements that were added later. So what we would ask you is in the proposed ordinance, and I did communicate this to the village council, Mr. Kinkar, paragraphs K and L of the proposed ordinance providing for special use, hoping that it is approved, provide for requirement of paving of the area, which would just impede the water absorption into the area. There's no repairs done on the area, so there are no any kind of improper fluids leaking into the ground. All of those are captured. They're just maintaining their own vehicles. They're not servicing any other vehicles. And what we would ask the board to consider is removal of paragraphs. This is under section 2, paragraph K and L. And if the board requires that those items are included, we would ask for grandfathering, if you will, since the initial ordinance approving this did not mention either of these two items, that the property, the owner is, by the way, I forgot to mention, current owner, user, will
Yes.
continue operating as he is for under a 10-year long-term lease. So it's a sale leaseback situation. The current occupant will continue with a 10-year long-term lease on the property. He's just changing the title ownership of the property. But what we would ask you is to allow this to continue as it has been for the last 5 years that it has been there almost. And, since the fire hydrant is right at the entrance on the southwest corner of this property, and it provides for, ample access to the property for if there is any fire, we don't believe that that would present any safety issues. Also, with respect to the installation of the asphalt concrete, that would generate more runoff than is currently being absorbed in the area, and with the existing 2 basins on the 2.5 acre sites and 3 basins immediately in front on Mayfield, we don't feel that it would be necessary under the circumstances, particularly considering that this is an ongoing use and will continue to be an ongoing use by the existing owner.
So, to break that down, Board, and the way I was viewing this, to surmise, is, and for the audience listening to this as well then too, item K is, in this ordinance, is that there is no requirement that the parking and storage areas be improved with asphalt or concrete while the current owner owns or leases the subject property. If the current owner no longer owns or leases the subject property, the installation of asphalt or concrete in all parking and storage areas, including any improvements required by Water Reclamation District, is required. So the point that we're trying to make here is that right now, this was not my administration, this was the previous administration, and a previous building commissioner, Roger wasn't seated at that time yet then too, failed to have an ordinance put in place that mandated code compliance, which means you need water retention on all properties, which means you need a hard deck surface with a non-permeable surface like blacktop, lighting, all that kind of stuff. That wasn't done. So what they're asking is, right now it's a concrete stone surface.
Correct.
And you would be, what I was told was you would be amenable to install fire hydrants for fire safety, but you were asking that the board waive the necessity for having the other with water retention and so forth then too. And I will say for the record too, it's always been my position here too, is I got to be consistent with all the businesses, is that there have been situations, you can't say it doesn't happen with permeable surfaces, which means you can have like stone parking lots, which water flows through that stone. This wouldn't, this is a hard deck surface that requires sewers and all, and obviously a major expense that chases it with blacktop and all that kind of thing then too. We need to be consistent and treat all the businesses the same. We've got a situation on 124th and Cicero right now where they're pouring concrete out there and so forth then too, and there's a business section right across the street from the one we're looking at here that's doing the same thing with water retention and so forth then too. So
I understand. All I'm pointing out, Mayor Ryan, is that when the original approval was given 5-0, that was not part of the conditions that were.
We're agreeing with you, but it should.
June 2017.
But if this property gets sold to a new investor, it obviously has to be in compliance.
And we don't have a problem with that.
Go ahead.
Just so everybody's clear, because I want to make sure everybody knows exactly what's going on. So they have been operating on gravel, right, Tony? They were never exempted from the paving the lot, but they have been operating without it. Right now, I've given you 2 alternative versions of the ordinance. One which requires them to bring it up to code, i.e. pave the lot, fire hydrants, all that. The alternative is that you exempt the current owner as long as he owns or leases it. Okay? That's an alternative ordinance that I gave you as well. The third version, what Tony is asking you for, which you guys can do what you want to, I would never exempt the property completely from paving, irrespective of who owns it or what the operation or use is. So you basically have 3 options.
The last is what I was referring to, right?
So I would, just in closing, Mayor Ryan and trustees, I would ask for favorable consideration of this item that was approved by the Planning Commission back in June of 2017 unanimously, and I would ask you to exempt the current owner from the paving requirement, and of course, as far as any future owners are concerned, they would have to apply for their own and obtain that. But we're talking about the current owner who will continue for at least another 10 years at the same location if the sale goes through, which is still subject to financing.
So Joe, let me ask you, with all those options, what's the best procedure to that?
Here, let me just
That
pull this
sounds
up
like
here.
option B.
I think, well, the B, the one I gave you, B, I believe is the one that's in the packet.
As long as they are there.
Right. I agree with that.
Inside the packet is the asphalt concrete and the fire hydrant.
Which one?
So the one we're asking you to consider, if you would, kindly is...
All right, so this is what I have, the one that we're talking, the one would be my option B is, there is no requirement that the parking and storage areas be improved with asphalt or concrete while the current owner owns or leases the subject property. If the current owner no longer owns or leases the subject property, the installation of asphalt or concrete on all parking and storage areas, including any improvements required by the MWRDGC, is required. And I have a version of that. We gave it to the mayor's office as well, but I don't know if that's the one that's in your packet.
That's the one I just read from. I have the same one.
Okay.
We could, to simplify this, because there was some options there, we could pull this from the consent agenda, make a motion on which version. Is it the version that Joe just spoke to and the one I spoke to? Is it the wish of the board to compel the current owner to be in compliance now? We're exempting that, is what we're doing for the current owner, not for a future owner, is how we're saying this.
I would just add, Mr. Mayor, that the owner is selling the property because he has financial challenges, and this would be one that would not be doable by him because of the financial constraints that he's under.
Right.
Yeah, the alternative version that I offered doesn't affect
The current owner.
your client, whether it owns or leases it.
Right, right. So we would endorse that version.
Yeah, I would recommend you guys take that off the consent agenda, personally.
That's letter U.
We'll pull that letter U for a separate vote then, okay?
Okay.
And also what is it, letter R, if you're going to change the language on the face, you can, if you want to do it now, you can change it on the face to what I said about the property within 200 feet of any residential property, or you can pull it off the consent agenda and do it as a part of it.
I say just change it on the face.
Change it.
Yeah, change it on the face.
So everybody good with that over there? Okay. All right, so you can leave that one on the consent agenda then?
Renee, you okay with that? Okay. All right, very good. Under presentations, petitions, and communications, a couple of quick things I'd like to mention that should you or anybody you know be in need, please consider this Thursday, June 10th, from 2 p.m. until the food runs out. The Economic Strategies Development Corporation is going to be providing emergency free food distribution over at Worth Township. That's at 116th and Pulaski. I volunteered there many times. This is a great organization that helping Worth Township residents. You don't have to live in Worth Township, but they are providing free emergency food distribution. You get a box or two of food should you need, or if you know anybody that needs help, please visit that line at 2 p.m. You just stay in your car 2 p.m. until the food runs out. And also I wanted to mention, I appreciate Trustee Nava Esparza's explanation about the Community Development Director. I have said at previous meetings, I'm more of a favor of, and which we've used before. We paid them through a Pulaski TIF, but I've always liked the idea of using a consultant. Only reason being is sometimes I've always felt that when you hire a full-time person, obviously we got to make sure we have enough work for that person, number one, but more so too is hiring, and should they not meet your expectations, I don't want to be in a position to terminate just because you couldn't find more work. We've been blessed to have a low vacancy rate right now in our community. We do have a lot of businesses. We still got a lot of work coming into this community yet, too. It's more than just business development. It's community development. We're actually, I mentioned to Trustee Nava Esparza last week, I am looking at, we don't have this formalized yet. I'll be talking with the board about this at the next committee meeting, about the possibility of incorporating what I would like to call a CIC. It's a Community Improvement Committee. It's always it's kind of a tongue twister, but getting more engagement with stakeholders, be it the community, residents, businesses, and business owners. Also, I was on a Zoom call about a week or so ago, 2 weeks ago, with Nicor Gas is now working with an organization called Next Site. For more than 160 years, Nicor Gas and its legacy companies have been an integral part of Northern Illinois, and to further support economic development, they are pleased to announce a new partnership that Next Site and Nicor Gas have entered into as a commercial development advisory firm whose primary goal is to attract new retail and commercial business investment to our community. And just in brief, just to say that Next Site has connected and supported over 20 million square feet of commercial development projects, resulting in over $4.1 billion of capital investment. Next Site has successfully connected developers, tenant reps, and end users to projects across the United States, including single-tenant, multi-tenant, shopping centers, multifamily, and then housing, healthcare, workforce housing, hospitality, malls, you name it, and so forth then too. And I'm going to present this to the board at next week's committee meeting, but basically it's a $10,000 cost, and you have a 3-year contract with these folks, and there are stipends as far as what they retain. If they bring in a mall for 10,000 square foot or more, it gets X amount of dollars for as basically as a stipend for their work. But I'll present all that to the board next week at committee. Did anybody else have any presentations, petitions, or communications? Okay. No, it's for the board. Sorry, Donna. I can't. I'm sorry, Ms. Romanowski, you know. I'm sorry, Donna, I have a meeting I have to finish up. Thank you. So, did anyone wish to remove any items from the consent agenda?
Yes, I would like to remove B as in boy and T as in Tom.
Anybody else?
Mayor, I'd like to remove letter P, as in Paul.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yes, I'd like to remove letter D and letter E.
Okay, that it? All right, then can I get a motion then to establish a consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All right, roll call number 1 to establish consent agenda. We are removing item B as in boy, D as in dog, E as in Edward, P as in Paul, T as in Tom, and U as umbrella.
Right.
We're not removing R, correct? We're just changing
We're
that?
just fixing.
Okay.
I'll send you the...
Okay, perfect. Okay, Trustee Dalzell?
Yes.
Trustee Juarez?
Yes.
Trustee McLaughlin?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Nava Esparza?
Yes.
Trustee Pareto?
Yes.
Motion carries to establish consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, roll call number 2 to approve consent agenda. Real fast, I'm just going to go through the ordinances to give you their new numbers. Item A, is that okay, or do you want me to just? Okay. Approval of an ordinance of the Village of Alsip approving Class 7C assessment status for the real estate located at 4361 West 127th Street, part of PIN 24-34-200-12-0000 in the Village of Alsip, Cook County, Illinois, will now be known as Ordinance 2021-06-1. Item N, as in Nancy, approval of a resolution of the Village of Alsip approving and adopting a capital asset policy and procedures will now be known as Resolution 2021-06-R-1. Letter R, approval of an ordinance of the Village of Alsip amending ordinance number 2021-05-5, authorizing a special use permit, authorizing a truck storage yard and terminal for the property located at 3600 West 127th Street, Alsip, Illinois, will now be known as Ordinance 2021-06-2. And item S, as in Sam, approval of an ordinance of the Village of Alsip granting a special use permit authorizing the storage of trucks and trailers on the property located at 12427 South Cadville Avenue, Alsip, Illinois, will now be known as Ordinance 2021-06-3. And again, this is roll call number 2 to approve consent agenda. Trustee Dalzell?
Yes.
Trustee Juarez?
Yes.
Trustee McLaughlin?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Nava Esparza?
Yes.
Trustee Paretto?
Yes.
Motion carries to approve consent agenda.
What did I have for letter U? Who pulled it?
Juarez?
And then, did we pull T?
Yes. She also did that one.
Right. Trustee Wars, did you pull letter B as well, too? Did you pull 3 items?
2. E and T.
D and T.
B and T, that's what I thought.
No. Then I wrote it
Nobody
down wrong.
pulled U.
Yes.
Yeah.
We
Somebody-
did.
Attorney pulled
We-
you.
You're right, we pulled it, right, okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, I wrote that
A
down.
lot of traffic on that one, that's all,
Trustee
yeah.
Kankar.
Yeah. You never do that and stuff, so, okay.
I apologize.
All right, thank you. Yeah, Trustee Kankar. Good, you lived up to that one time. All right, we'll go back to the items that were removed. First, letter B, approval to amend the number of Class E liquor licenses from 4 to 5, designated license for the Cura Group, 1045, to be utilized at Food for Less at 12150 South Pulaski Road. Before we have any discussions, can I get a motion and a second?
I'll make the motion
To approve or disapprove?
to disapprove.
Motion to,
Disapprove.
you don't even really need to, why don't you just not make, because we need to make, doesn't even make sense not to do it. Just wait for somebody else to make a motion.
Right.
Mayor, I'll make the motion.
All right.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Trustee Wars, you pulled it. Did you have a question about
I
this?
wanted a separate vote.
Separate vote? All right, anybody else have a question on that? All right, then,
And just so everybody knows, to actually create this extra license, it will need an ordinance, so the ordinance will be back on the next agenda if you guys...
approve. Right, if we approve this evening, we'll submit an ordinance for approval at the next board meeting. Can you call the roll, please?
Sure. So this is roll call number 3 to approve item B. Trustee Dalzell?
Yes.
Trustee Juarez?
No.
Trustee McLaughlin?
No.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Nava Esparza?
No.
Trustee Paretto?
Yes.
It's you, Mayor.
So that comes to a tie, so Mayor Ryan.
Yes.
Motion carries to approve item B. Do you want me to reread that?
Sure.
Okay. Approval to amend the number of Class E liquor licenses from 4 to 5 at designate a license to the Curo 1045 Group to be utilized at Food for Less at 12150 South Pulaski Road, Alsip, Illinois.
Thank you. Next was letter D and E. This was the approval of the April 12th Committee of the Whole meeting minutes, and letter E was the approval of the April 26th Committee of the Whole meeting minutes. Trustee Prada, I'm guessing because you weren't in attendance?
I wasn't on the board at that time, yes.
Okay.
Mayor, make the motion to approve D and E.
Second.
Okay, roll call number 4 to approve letters D and E.
You should do them one at a time.
You want me to do one at a time?
Yep.
Okay.
Mayor, I make the motion to approve item D, please.
Second.
I can't catch you.
Otherwise, you're just doing another consent agenda.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so first roll call number 4 to approve item D. Trustee Dalzell.
Yes.
Trustee Juarez.
Yes.
Trustee McLaughlin.
Yes.
Trustee Murphy.
Yes.
Trustee Navas Sparza.
Yes.
Trustee Peretta.
Abstain?
Motion carries to approve item D as in dog. Roll call number 5 to approve item E. Trustee Dalzell.
Yes.
Trustee Juarez.
Yes.
Trustee McLaughlin.
Yes.
Trustee Murphy.
Yes.
Trustee Navas Sparza.
Yes.
Trustee Peretta.
Abstain?
Motion carries to approve item E as in Edward.
Thank you. Again, for some of you in the audience, Trustee Peretta was not on the board at that time, so that's why he didn't want to vouch to something that happened at a meeting in those minutes, was why he abstained. Next, letter P, approval of a new job creation of a full-time exempt position, the Village of Alsip Community Development Director position with a starting salary of $85,000, including benefits, family insurance, IMRF pensions, access to village-owned vehicles. This position will be supervised by the Office of the Village President. Did we have a motion and a second on this to approve?
I'll make the motion. Oops.
Okay, no problem. Good night, Judge. All right. Did we have a motion and a second to approve this?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Okay, roll call number 6.
And you didn't ask for
I'm
questions?
sorry, I
or-
apologize, right. I'm actually sitting there reading the thing, too. Yeah, we had a motion and a second. Was there, Trustee McLaughlin, I apologize, you pulled this.
I pulled this one, yes, and I just wanted to bring up that I understand the concept, and there's a lot of great ideas here, but I also think that we're in a position right now to not fully make a decision on this. There's a direct conflict between this request and the position that Roger is asking for, and I think that we need to carefully weigh the differences between the two requests and decide, do we need one more than the other, or potentially a hybrid, before we go ahead and just approve one that potentially has a large chunk of Roger's job in it.
Well,
So I'm saying to delay until we get a coordination of both of the open positions.
And I know that you highlighted in previous conversations that there is overlap, and I think that there's value in having different department heads having some of the similar duties, but then also I know Roger has a lot that he wants to also designate to, in essence, a second position, and we don't really know what that entails or what that is. And I think I've presented a number of job descriptions from different municipalities, such as the Village of Oak Forest. Also the City of Blue Island has a community development manager position, so that the board can also see the differences between a senior level director position and then also like a manager role. And I think that I've done my due diligence to try to present this to the board, and that's why I'm asking for it at this time. Also given feedback from the community in regards to some of the development projects that have been in the pipeline, and as we've witnessed tonight, that they are against. So I think that a community development planner or community development director is something that is much needed. And at this time, I'm just presenting the creation of that, and at an additional meeting, we can justify or decide on a job description for this position. So I'm just asking for the creation of this position at this time.
Anybody else have a question?
As we've been discussing these, and my confusion is that we were talking about position description being there, budget being there, obviously the need for it. It seems that the trustee has gone to great detail to lay that forward. While I'm not necessarily 100% behind the idea, is that she's taken the necessary steps in order to present it for further evaluation. Because we're authorizing it this evening doesn't mean that we're either going to fund it or staff it in the immediate. So there's still time for the discussion on it. It's just that we've changed some of the rules, and I think that she's abided by what's been done thus far, and we're at that next step, is what my thought was.
Thank you, trustee.
Any other questions over here, too? Okay, so can we call the roll, then, please?
Okay, roll call number 6 to approve item P as in Paul. Trustee Dalzell.
Yes.
Trustee Juarez.
Yes.
Trustee McLaughlin.
No.
Trustee Murphy.
No.
Trustee Navas-Sparza.
Yes.
Trustee Peretta.
No.
Mayor Ryan.
No.
Motion fails to carry. With a vote of 4-3.
Right. Next, we had the letter T, was the approval to overturn the Plan Commission's recommendation to deny a special use permit by 7-0 regarding case number 2021 05S500. That meeting took place on May 5th from B1 Business to B1 Business Special Use for a gas station and convenience store for the property located at 12220 South Cicero and 12250 South Cicero in Alsip, Illinois. Again, did I have a motion and a second to approve the overturn on that?
No,
Monica, no.
And then I'm going to say that it dies for lack of a motion. All right? Okay, next, we had letter U. This is in, go ahead, I'll speak. Attorney Kankar, an ordinance of the Village of Alsip granting a special use permit authorizing truck and storage yard for a terminal for the property located at 11633 South Mayfield, Alsip, Illinois. Go ahead, Trustee Kankar. There you go again. I just did it again. Attorney Kankar.
I won the bet.
Yeah.
Hi. My name's not on the
His
ballot.
rates just went down.
Oh, I don't want your job, trust me. All right, so we have, the version you have in your packet requires the asphalting, concreting all parkage and storage areas. The alternative version that I did present, or that I do have, was what I read aloud, which would, again, I'll read it again, it would change K, that there is no requirement that the parking and storage areas be improved with asphalt concrete while the current owner owns or leases the subject property. If the current owner no longer owns or leases the subject property, the installation of asphalt or concrete on all parking and storage areas, including any improvements required by the NWRDGC, is required. So I guess
So can I make a motion to approve the alternate version?
you can do that, yes.
I will do that then.
Are you making the motion?
Yes.
Wait for the
Make
clerk,
motion.
though.
I'm sorry.
Want me to make it?
So we have a motion to approve the alternate version, which I offered with the change with K, and I'll actually give you a copy of that.
Okay.
Yes.
Did we, I'm sorry, did
Got a
I
first
miss the
from trustee
motion?
McLaughlin.
I made the
McLaughlin,
motion.
okay.
I'll second.
Trustee Juarez, was that you?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, roll call number 7 to approve item U with the change that he was sent to us with using item K. There is no re-requirement that the parking and storage areas be improved with asphalt or concrete while the current owner owns or leases the subject property. If the current owner no longer owns and leases subject property, the installation of asphalt or concrete on all parking and storage areas, including any improvements required by the MWRDGC, is required. Trustee Dalzell.
Yes.
Trustee Juarez.
I'm voting now for the alternate, right?
Yes.
Yes. Trustee McLaughlin.
Yes.
Trustee Murphy.
Yes.
Trustee Nava Esparza.
Yes.
Trustee Paretta.
Yes.
Motion carries. I think
Right.
we got everything.
So then,
Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize for that. The new ordinance number will be ordinance 2021-06-4.
very good. Did anyone have any unfinished business? Any new business? Then can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. We'll adjourn this meeting at 9:30, and thank you very much for your patience, everybody, for being out here tonight. Andrew, thank you for being with us tonight, too.
Thank you for having me.
I'll talk back with you tomorrow.